So, how many times a minute would you say do you typically take a breath?
Do I take a breath?
Yeah.
I guess it depends. Right now, I'm like very nervous,
All right.
so I'm taking a lot of breaths. But
All right, you ready?
yeah, ready. Hey guys, my name is Haruka Konishi. I'm a software engineer at Pyramid Systems, and this is actually my first DevOps day and first conference in general, so I'm really excited to be speaking. I'm going to be talking about forming 5 habits for TDD adoption in 30 days. So what is TDD? So I'm sure a lot of you guys already know, but TDD is a testing methodology used in agile communities where you write the test first, you write development after. So it's usually the reverse of what developers are used to. They write the code, and then they test that code that they actually wrote. So it's used for agile communities, and it has a lot of benefits. So this is the life cycle process. So like I was saying, you write the test fails because you don't have the development written yet, and then you write the code, and then the test passes, and you refactor the code and you organize. So this is always an ongoing process, so there's never kind of like an endpoint. So whenever you get new functionality, you just finish over and over again. So these are the benefits for TDD. So the reason why I got interested in it is for the code quality. Because you write the test first, you know exactly what functionality it has to have. You can't really write your test so your code actually passes, which I feel like a lot of developers actually do. So I'm sure some people have seen this cartoon before, but TDD is also great for knowing exactly what the scope and the requirements are. So sometimes you write code and you realize that you wrote too much of it or too little of it. And so when you write the test first, you know what your code is exactly supposed to do. So there's no type of scope creep. So I really like this quote by Ben Halpern. He's a blogger and software engineer, and says TDD is like the gym. A lot of people have membership, but few rarely go. Or a few people say they go way more than they actually do. And I feel like a lot of people have experience in this in the agile community. So I want to focus on habits and not goals. Because like I said before, goals have an endpoint, right? Like if I want to lose 20 pounds, I'm done. But in reality, I have to continue that life cycle. I still have to go to the gym. I have to maintain a healthy habit of maintaining that goal. So we're going to talk about habits TDD success. So this talk is based on Charles Duhigg's book, The Power of Habit, which I highly recommend if you guys haven't read it. It's all about how we chunk habits and how we create different actions in our minds subconsciously. And I want to be able to apply this scientific research to actually what I'm talking about. So I can talk to you guys about 5 minutes about all the scientific research, but honestly, that would bore a lot of you guys, and you guys would not get anything out of it. So I want to get something for a blueprint that you can take back with you to different organizations. So a lot of times people are here in order for their careers, and so this is a framework, not a prescription. Unfortunately, there's no secret formula or a pill that you can take in order for developers to have TDD, but this is hopefully a place where you can start to get better with your coding. So let's get started with the 5 steps. So step 1 is you want to find the patterns of your bad habit. So a habit loop created by MIT researchers is a way that you chunk your habits. So you have a cue, which is your trigger. You have the routine, which is the action, which is the bad habit. And then you have your reward, which is what you get after it. So this is why you do the habit. So for example, if you look around you, there's a couple people on their phones right now. And so the cue is that they're bored. And so they're like, this Ignite talk just isn't doing it for me. So I'm going to unlock my phone and have all these applications that I can look at and entertain me. And so that is an example of a habit loop. So step 2 is to have to do the self-realization of your true cue. So what I mean by that is sometimes you think a trigger is a certain thing, right? But it's actually something different. And so what's important is that you have to write down exactly what you think your trigger is, and then also look over your trigger for the second week. So for example, what I thought was my trigger was I get the JIRA ticket. My routine is I start coding immediately, right? And then my reward is that I'm done with that JIRA ticket. I don't have to worry about it, and I can focus on other things like research and making sure that I'm up to par with my other developers. So luckily, the behavioral cues can be put into 5 different things. So for the first week, you have to make sure you write all these 5 different things down when your trigger happens. So for me, when I got my JIRA ticket, I wrote down all these 5 things. And you'll find that something might be a little bit different. So for my location, this is an example of the ones I actually wrote. I was at my desk, it was 2 p.m., I was slightly anxious, and there's nobody around me, and the immediately preceding action was I look over the ticket and I start coding. So that's what I did for a week to figure out what my actual true trigger was, my first cue. So what I found out was my cue was imposter syndrome, so not knowing what I was doing. So my routine is that I just start coding immediately, just basically going on Stack Overflow, trying to find out if I can copy-paste code and see what works. And then my reward is that I'm done with the ticket. So step 3 is you want to change the habit. So you have to add a conscious element, so subconscious routine. So for me, I added a Outlook alarm and also a phone alarm. So it would go off every time. So I would know exactly that I have to do TDD. This is a bad habit. I have to change it. And then step 4, I know this looks like toilet paper, but it's supposed to be tape. So basically, for weeks 3 to 4, make sure to maintain that habit. You know exactly what you have to do. So we're all human. We all fall down sometimes, but it's okay. You have to pick yourself back up. And then step 5 is that you have to evaluate the change. So these are all the benefits I found from TDD, and it's definitely helped me a lot to become a better developer and just to maintain that. So hopefully this will be helpful for you guys, but thank you so much.